And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 16, and it's not often that we go by popular demand, and it's not often that I take viewer feedback around who the viewers absolutely want to see come back, someone that's already been on. But that's what's happening on this episode of the QCast. And Adam Brazel, one of the things I just kept hearing over the last like 11 months is you got to have the Brazel kid back sometime. We like the Brazel kid. How does that make you feel to know that like you were requested by QCast
Hmm.
Nation? Let's talk about that a little bit.
No, it's powerful. It is, and you set a really unhealthy precedent by listening to your viewers about just who you should have on, because now you can just bring anybody on, and clearly that's what you've done tonight. So,
That's true. I don't always do it, but I felt like the timing was good here. And I reached out to you when I started getting this feedback. I reached out to you like a few weeks ago before any games had been played. And I said, "Hey, we need to do this again." And you made a wise decision. You said, "Absolutely, but I want to get a couple games played first." I think what you were saying is like, I don't want you to interview me if I lose by 30 at SWAT. Was that the thinking, or talk me through waiting a couple games?
um, yeah, I mean, I don't want anything to be handed to me. I don't want you to have me on the Q cast if we're squeaking out wins, or we're not winning games that are worthy of me being on this Q cast. And I also wanted, I had a lot of trust in my team. So I actually said, like, let us win a few games is what I told you. And so we
That was exactly what you
did.
said. Let us
You
win a
hit me
few
back
games.
today. So you hit me back today, and I was like, oh, I do have time tonight, so I can do
Timing's
that.
perfect because you did win two huge games, and then you've got another huge one coming up. So I appreciate you being willing to do it with that big one looming. And that one is Christopher Newport. That's at their place, correct? On Tuesday?
Yes. Yeah.
That's gonna be boy, that's gonna be a great one. And Tuesday's my birthday. So I think I'm gonna my wife's this is like all year long she has to deal with D3 hoops, right? But I think this one day I get to say like, hey, like, could I stay in and watch D3 hoops? And I think it has to be a yes on my birthday. Don't you think? You're too young to know how to navigate this, but do you see where I'm going with that?
I think I do, and I don't see why you couldn't be granted just one day to D3 hoops. I don't know what you do all year long, but you know,
Right. I'm never watching games otherwise. So
no.
I appreciate you kind of helping. If you need help someday on this, you could call me anytime and I can coach you. But hey, one serious topic. Last time we talked, you were in Asheville, North Carolina. And while I'm watching that Hurricane Helene flooding, I'm thinking, well, holy crap. So is everything, I think that was your mom's house, if I believe. Like, how are things in Asheville with your family there?
Things are all right. So we got kind of a lucky draw the way that the hurricane kind of hit the area, and it's obviously very rare that a hurricane hits
Right.
and does damage to like a mountainous region.
Yeah.
Just you don't really expect a lot of flooding to happen, and so when it does, it catches you by surprise. And then we're doing all right, and we lost power and all that sort of stuff for a few weeks. But it's more than just my mom that lives up there. It's both sets of my grandparents and a couple aunts and uncles as well. And so there's a lot of family up there, and it was really sad to see all the devastation. And I haven't been back since, but I'll be going back in about a week and a half for Thanksgiving. And I'm not really looking forward to seeing what it looks like. But my mom is, she's on the front lines every day, volunteering and going to fundraisers and all that sorts of stuff. So um, she's a she's a big motivation to me in that way, and um, she just keeps telling me about all the devastation she sees. It's really sad stuff.
Yeah, we're our thoughts go out to everyone because the pictures on TV have been horrendous, and I know it's now been a while since all that hit, but I know that the recovery and the hard part's just now starting. So glad to hear that your family's good. Amazing on your mom for all the volunteer work, and thoughts with everyone in Asheville and all the impacted areas because it looked awful. Um, so Adam, let's talk a little bit here about where things stand as you're 2-0 at this point and two huge wins. You go on the road and beat Swarthmore, one of the best programs in Division 3. Then you host in a non-conference game your conference mate Randolph Macon, and you beat them 84-77. You got to be thrilled right now. Just talk me through like winning these two ball games and how you and the team are feeling at this point.
Oh, it's definitely exciting because, we're in phase two right now. And so we break the season up into phases. And so phase two, we're just trying to find our identity as a team and establish our individual roles, which can bring out the best for the team. And so we really haven't found our identity yet. We're still searching for it, and our defense and rebounding is essentially nowhere near where we want it to be. And I think, Randolph-Macon would say the same thing because, what the heck is a Hampden-Sydney Randolph-Macon game doing in the 80s, doing in the 70s?
Right.
It needs to probably be in the 50s and 60s, I guess, if
Yeah,
both coaches would agree on something.
84-77, right.
And so we're not thrilled with how we've played, especially defensively the last couple games. I think offensively there's a lot to like, but we know that in the long run you're not going to win championships or win big games by just relying on your offense because your shot comes and goes, but the stuff that travels is the defense and the rebounding, and that's what we hang our hat on. And so it's exciting because we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can become on defense and the chemistry that we're going to build on defense. And then once we get that piece down and we continue to improve on it, I think we'll start to see some things that we really really like.
Let's talk about this team a little bit because, as I'm sure you know, I didn't vote for you guys in the top 25. Are you and your teammates aware of that? Like you were aware of that line I set last year?
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely aware of that. I was certainly hurt by it. I had people working in our cafeteria hurt by it. So, uh, yeah, I think anytime you you build something really really special with a certain group of guys, and you fall just short, but you finish second in the country, and then the following year you lose a lot of those guys. So, the general consensus is going to be that you're not as good or you're nowhere near as good. And I think we're here to prove a lot of people wrong, but we're more so here just to prove ourselves right. And so
Now, for the record, if I
it
had to,
definitely motivated us though.
there's no ballot today. Like we're not voting today for a new poll tomorrow. If we did, you guys would be really pretty high up there. I just want to put that on record before I start getting shout outs after all these wins. But here was my just work with me here. This was my
Hmm.
case. So last year you had seven guys that really anchored that rotation through the final four. So Brazel, Elliott, Clements, Hubbard, Hardy, Turner, Fernald. And only only two of those guys are back. The guy on the
Hmm.
QCast right now and my guy Shane Fernald. Like two guys come back. So I'm reading the packet of information that your SID or whoever submitted, and it accurately says there's one starter back, this guy, and there's two guys back that played 10 plus minutes, including Shane. And then it said, and this is where I want to talk to you about this, it said, but there's guys expected to step in. And they listed Colin Radcliffe, Nick Shryak, don't know if I'm saying that right, Travis Stickney, some other guys. Um, Talk to me about this new group because you've taken two guys from last year's rotation. You've added a bunch of new guys. Maybe they were on the roster, younger, maybe they came in new, but you must have a whole bunch of talent, my friend, because you guys look great so far.
Yeah, I think we do have a load of talent. I think Coach Kimbrough was chewing us out the other day actually in practice and said that we might be more talented than our team last year, but that we don't care as much as we need to. And so the talent's definitely there. It's just like, is our urgency there? Is our, defensive mindset there, such and such. But I think what really matters when it comes down to a program being consistently good or having, a good year and a so-so year and a bad year is I think you got to look at the culture that's been built. And I don't think anybody's wrong in doubting us per se, because it's like, how can you be sure that the culture was even built? All they had was, one good year, one great year. But, this isn't like a Swarthmore thing or maybe even a Randolph-Macon thing yet, from the outside perspective. But if you're
Sure.
here on campus and you're a part of our program, you understand that, uh, this culture is here to stay, and that, I could be I'll graduate one day, one of these days. This is only my 5th year of Division III basketball. I'll graduate one of these days, and the program, it's not going to take any steps back. And that's what Coach Kimbrough told Shane Fernald and I this summer when we were just out to dinner with them and the coaching staff. Coach Kimbrough said, "Man, you guys don't get it. We're not taking any steps back." And Shane and I kind of looked at each other and we were like, "Oh, let's go." Like I didn't expect to take a step back, but I definitely, was like, it's going to be hard to get to where we were last year, and
Right.
there's this lingering feeling of like trying to get back to what was and all this, trying to be the team from last year. We're a new team this year. And, like you said, we've got, like a dozen guys that have stepped into um, a myriad of roles. We've got Travis Stickney, who's kind of like our starting point guard right now, starting
Right.
shooting guard. He's a freshman from South Carolina. He from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, so the Charleston area. He was South Carolina uh, Player of the Year last year, like co-player of the year.
Wow.
This kid can really, really play. He's really steady. We got two other seniors in my class, Nick Shryock and Eamon McGowan. And Eamon is absolutely one of the best shooters in the country. Like I wouldn't tell you that. I wouldn't tell you that if it wasn't true. Each and every day, he outshoots me in practice. We got, and then Nick is just like came in as a point guard. He kind of backed me up my first couple years, his first couple years. And now he's playing the four, playing the 3 and the 4 for us. He's like a 6'5", 200-pound guy that's just
Sure.
real heavy, uses shot fakes, pass fakes, uses his body, rebounds, ball mover, good cutter, high IQ. And so he fills a certain role that we need. And then, Eamon stretches the floor, like I mentioned. We got two transfers from different Division II schools, Hamilton Campbell, sort of a point guard, shooting
Sure.
guard for us, and Colin Radcliffe, sort of a shooting guard, small forward for us. And both of those guys are capable of shooting at 40 to 45% clips from behind the 3-point line. And so, what I've already mentioned to you is that we have great shooting between Eamon, Colin, Hamilton, and myself. That's four guys that could
Right.
shoot above 40 this year. That's really rare to have that on one team. Um, and so we've got some great shooting. We've got some guys coming off the bench and really finding their spot in the rotation. Guys that did not play a lick last year,
Yeah.
but competed against the guys who played every time last year, right? Played all the time last year. A guy like Will Britt, who we call Fish, is about 6'6" lefty, real lanky, can guard the 1 through the 5, which is what we love at Hampden-Sydney because we trade everything. We trade ball screens. So,
Right.
any kind of versatile defender is big for us. And, he's finding his niche. And then, we got the big fella, Shane Fernald, as you mentioned, one of the 7 guys who played a bunch last year for us. And, he has the potential to be a first team all ODAC guy. He's got the potential to be an all
Oh yeah.
region guy. He's got the potential to be a national player of the year candidate one day. And so, we're looking at we're looking at the D3 Jokic is what we call him. And really what it comes down to is like, what kind of habits are we going to build as a team? That's how far we're going to go. What kind of
Yeah.
habits do we?
So far through 2 games, just top like 3 scores. So you're having a monster start to the year. 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists a game. That's quite a stat line through two. Shane Fernald is 16.7 rebounds, 4 assists, and Colin Radcliffe is scoring 17 a game through two, and then a whole bunch of guys contributing just in a balanced way after that. So yeah, it is. I mean, it is clear that you guys do have one of these like great program reloads going on. I look at my guys, and they had a great year last year, won the CCIW. They lost their point guard, they lost their wing, and they've just plugged new guys in from the JV team or freshmen, and they're better right now than they were last year. And you guys have the same thing going on. You're just plugging guys in. You've got the culture to do it. That's got to feel pretty good, right? To be part of a program, the program you came into versus where you're at now. You've seen the evolution to this, correct? I mean, you've seen what Caleb's been building.
100%. I mean, my freshman year we were 2-4, and that was the COVID year, so only 6 games played. But we barely got our feet wet, and we started 0-4. So we won our last 2 games. We started feeling really good, and then the season kind of shut off on us, and we were like, man, well, we'll get them next year. And then so we think we're going to get them next year, but we really haven't learned how to win. And so we go into the games like at Lynchburg, who had a really, really talented team, and we were up like 18 at half, but we blow the game, we blow the lead. And so it's like, you have to fail in order to learn how to succeed. And so, we failed over and over and over. We gave up leads, I think, at Washington and Lee. We gave up leads at, like I just said, Lynchburg. We played Macon close the entire
Sure.
time. The team, ended up winning the national championship, and then they'd blow us out by 20 in the last 5 minutes. And so it's like, wait, we were just even with y'all with 5 minutes to go.
Right.
So it showed like how talented we were, but we just didn't know how to finish games. And then the following year, we figured out how to finish games a little bit. But when we arrived to the Salem Civic Center for the ODAC tournament, we're like, man, we're here and we can finally like try to win it. And it's all in your mentality. So we're like, man, maybe we can win it this year. And then you lose. You blow a lead to Guilford when you're up 12 with 4 minutes in the game, and it's like this pain stings and it motivates you. But somehow you get into the tournament and you're able to play against a team like Emory and beat them, and then you lose to the eventual national champ CNU. So then it's like my senior year rolls around, and we've got everyone back reloaded from these past 2 years where it feels like we were really building something special. And instead of it being like, man, I hope, I wish this happens, it's like, man, I know this is going to happen. I have
Right.
faith that this is going to happen. And so when we walk into a gym, we're like, yeah, we're going to do this, as opposed to, man, I hope we can win this, or, maybe we have a shot. It's like, no, like it's this development over time about how you really approach something. I think, having won the ODAC championship last year and gone to the Final Four, made it to the national championship, we've got this certain level of, not that we know everything, but that we know, I think, what it might take. And
Right.
whereas the past 4 years, we didn't know what it would take. Now we know what it takes. It's just a matter of doing that every day.
It's very, very cool to see. It's one of my favorite things about following Division Three's program builds like this. And you have a proud tradition at Hampden-Sydney men's basketball. So it's not like it's never happened, but there did need to be something that happened in the last few years, and it's amazing. Just a couple more questions. I know you're busy getting ready for game week and studies and everything, but the ODAC, I had a heck of a time, Adam, trying to figure out how to vote on the ODAC. I think I ended up picking Randolph-Macon and Guilford and putting them in my top 25. I had you like as my 26. You've seen Randolph-Macon now. You've seen Guilford in that exhibition. The league, the top of the league, it's not just those three teams. There's several other teams that I know you would say can win it. How do you view the mix there at the very top of the ODAC this year based on who's left and who's come?
Well, I think you got to throw Virginia Wesleyan in the mix as
Sure.
well. I think they just got back. They're one of their best players, Amari DeVoe, really, really, tough lefty kind of guard for them, who I think he probably averaged 15 a game a couple years ago and tore his ACL. He was out all of last year, and they did some incredible things without him. And then they were like, okay, now we got you back.
Right.
So they're going to be really, really tough to beat. And obviously they're coached by Coach Macedo, who's, national championship winning coach,
Yeah.
several ODAC championships. So, I mean, you can expect Virginia Wesleyan to be, top 25 caliber team,
Right.
if not better. And then, I'm keeping my eye on a team like Roanoke. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think they're really tough. I think defensively they're one of the best teams in the ODAC, and I think they've got the experienced guard play now, which is maybe something they didn't have in the
Sure.
past year or two, year and a half. And so, I'm looking out for a team like that. I think they're in the mix, and I don't want to say who's in the mix, who's not in the mix, because I
Right.
don't really know. But I like, Randolph College. They played a really close one against Longwood, exhibition game at
Right.
Longwood. They lost by 9, 10, or 11 points, and really just gave them a run for their money. And they're building something special over there, I can tell. But the ODAC's a gritty league, and it's just an honor to be a part of it, honor to compete in it every year. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out, but yeah,
Well,
definitely Guilford
yeah,
and Macon are. Oh man,
no
those guys are
brainers.
tough.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
those are no brainers, and certainly not to put you on the spot of like who's in and who's out. But yeah, that's an idea of some of the teams that we're going to be looking at this year. It's one of the best leagues in the country. The depth is crazy. The depth, especially the number of teams that could win it. It's you could list like 6 teams that legitimately could win it this year, which is nuts. I want to ask you about Tuesday. So I mentioned this game on my birthday where, maybe I get a pass to watch some D3 hoops, unlike the other 364 days of the year. We'll see what I can do. We'll see what I can pull off. But Christopher Newport on the road, they're 4-0. They're ranked number 5. They are one of the best programs in the country. I think if you look at the last decade, I think it'd be real easy to say that's the best program in the nation, Christopher Newport. 4-0, their wins include a win at Virginia Wesleyan. That was in overtime.
Mhm.
So obviously a fun game to play in. How do you guys head there and approach that one on Tuesday?
Yeah, well, it's certainly no love lost between, me and John Hines or Colin Hines, and but there's also, I think, a lot of mutual respect that goes on between Coach Krikorian and CNU and Coach Kimbrough and our program, and so they ended our season, like I said, 2 years ago on their
Yeah,
run to the Natty, and then but earlier that year we had beaten them when they were number one in the country.
right.
And then to start last season, they played at our place when they were number one in the country. We were number eight, and we got them by 20. And then we were a buzzer beater away from seeing them in the Final Four. And so I think, they're coming back really, really hungry, knowing that I think they had a lot of things going on internally in their program last year, and I think they dealt with that. And I don't know too much about it, but they dealt with that, and they made it to the Elite Eight last year, which is just insanely impressive. And like I said, they returned John Hines, who's a perennial All Region, All American
Yeah,
caliber
great player.
player. Just a great player, and they've got some young guys that can really, really go. Um, they're one of those teams that's so good because of the things I talked about earlier, their defense and their rebounding. They don't rely on shot making to win games. Oftentimes, the teams that do that don't win many games or don't win the ones that matter. And so CNU is really physical. Um, they're going to crash the O board. They're going to crash the defensive glass,
Absolutely.
and they're gonna really crowd the paint, make it tough on you to get your offense going. So
Should be a great one. I hope everyone gets a chance to tune into that. That's the kind of game that, D3 hoops is all about. Should be fantastic. I wanted to ask you about the location you're in when we started recording. I was like, I know what dorm rooms look like. I know what off-campus apartments look like. They don't look like that. I said, where the heck are you, Adam? You said I'm in the Rhetoric Studio. And so, yeah, like tell what is the Rhetoric Studio, and let's get a little deep dive into what the heck this is, Adam Brazel.
yeah, so the Rhetoric Studio on Hampden-Sydney's campus is kind of like this um, interactive center for speaking and writing, where students come in and they get help on papers from professors and from students like myself as a rhetoric consultant, which is like a tutor essentially. Rhetoric's a really big thing on Hampden-Sydney's campus. Like, how well can you form an argument via writing or speaking? And so it's something we prioritize. I'm a rhetoric minor myself, as well as an English major. And I spend a lot of time down here. There's a lot of whiteboards like the one behind me. And then, there's a podcast center to my right, which is probably where I should be for this.
Big time.
There's a couple of classrooms, a lot of really nice computers, microphones, and everything of the sort.
It looks awesome. So English major, rhetoric minor. I think we call that the pre-podcasting curriculum, Adam. I mean, it sounds like you could step into a podcast when you get done with this basketball thing pretty easily. Have you ever thought about any kind of podcasting?
Well, actually, I did have a podcast for a few years from about 2021 to
That's
2023. I
right.
had a podcast, yeah, called Shoot Hoops. And so I've done some podcasting in the past and I enjoyed it. But, I decided to leave the podcasting to guys like you and guys like Bill Simmons because, if everyone has a podcast, it can't mean something. And so I'll just be a guest for now until my word means as much as yours does.
Well, you're a good guest. And I'm guessing this isn't the last time you're going to be on this little show because it looks like you guys have another powerhouse team. I think somewhere later in the year we'll need to do a quick check-in. I'll give you the final word on this. I should ask since your last appearance, which was December 21st of 2023, about 11 months ago. Has that appearance brought you any kind of fame and fortune? Or like tell me the impact that the QCast has had on your life in general.
Yeah, I mean, I do meet and greets every Thursday at 4 p.m. just from the QCast.
That's
I'm
huge.
just kind of yeah, just lined up. Uh, I don't know that it would bring me any fame or fortune. It's something that we talk about on the team a ton. So when you texted me today, Shane was definitely going crazy.
He's a
And
support. He supports the QCast. Someday, if that kid keeps grinding, he will be on here. It's a guarantee. If he keeps playing well, he keeps rebounding, he keeps boxing out, he keeps defending, he'll be on here. It's not about the
yeah,
points for he's got to play hard to get on here. He'll get on here.
let's make a deal right now. If he has a triple double, you have to have him on the podcast.
The second he has a triple double, he's on. The
Okay,
next
deal.
day, it's an open invitation. So triple double absolutely gets you on the QCast. So let's put that out there for him. Not I don't want him padding his stats though. So he's got to play well and he's got to defend and do really well. Is that a deal?
Yeah, okay. So I'm glad you added that last part because that's what Coach Kimbrough would want me to say.
Yeah.
We just need Shane to defend and be active with his hands and his feet and not
Yeah.
reach and be palms down. That's what we need out of Shane.
Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble like some guys trying to rack up a triple double to get on the QCast. So if he plays hard, if he defends, if he rebounds, if he plays smart within the offense, that's what will get him on the QCast. But a triple double, I mean, that would catch my attention as well. So we'll just leave that Shane will be on here. I know he will. Um, Adam, I really appreciate your time once again. I don't think this is the last time that we'll visit. I would like to give you the last word, though. You've got a big ball game Tuesday. You're 2-0. We're in D3 Hoops season full swing now. What would you leave the QCast, the D3 Hoops Nation with here today on the QCast?
Man, I would just say I'm just looking forward to another season of D3 Hoops where yeah, there's upsets and there's rising stars and there's rising teams and there's rebuilding teams or teams that aren't ranked initially on your ballot that rise throughout the season, um, like us, I hope. And
You're in there right now. If there was a ballot, you'd be in it. Trust me, right now. But
I
but but then again, there's another week to go. So
really I just got we got to get you up to Farmville or down to Farmville, I guess. We got to take you to the North Street Press Club. Shane and I can treat you. We're a couple of
I would love
NIL
to.
athletes there,
I
so we can.
tell you what. Let's pencil that. Like, let's try to do that. I would love to go to Farmville. And so, whatever you and Shane have cooked up, you just count me in, and let's just try to see if we can't get that done before the time you finish hooping. How about that? Does that sound
You tell
cool?
me what month works best for you. We can find a day. We can find a day.
I love it.
Um,
This is sounding really good. I'll text you back. I'm going to give you a range of time, and we'll see what works. I'd love to see a home game there. I've never been there. Let's see. I was at Randolph Macon because my team played Hampden-Sydney at Randolph Macon in the 2003 Sweet 16, but I've never been to your place. So let's try to make it
wow,
work. Are we good with that?
that was an iconic tournament right there because Hampden-Sydney beat Randolph Macon on Randolph Macon's floor, I think.
That's correct. Yeah, we lost to
Wow.
Hampton. We lost to you guys in the Sweet 16 with a great team we had. And so I've been to Randolph Macon, but let's leave this wide open and let's see if we can't get this done. I'd love to make a visit out there and see everything that's happening there in Farmville because it sounds like my kind of place, Adam.
I mean, there's a lot that goes on in Farmville, Farm Vegas, as we call it. So,
Well, folks, that is Adam Brazel, who is now a QCast favorite. This is a second appearance because QCast Nation really overwhelmingly requested it, and the timing was right. Adam, as always, thank you for your candor. Good luck to you Tuesday. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. Look forward to watching it. And best of luck this season as you guys pursue another title and another deep run, my friend. Good luck to you.
thank you so much for having me on, Bob. I really